Hello and welcome to the Passion Supernatural podcast, the podcast where we discuss what we consider to be the best soap opera ever, Passions. How y'all doing? I'm Joe Velasquez. Once again, joining me is my lovely co-host, Casey Metcalf. How you doing, sweetie?
Good.
That's good. That's good. Now, for these last 8 weekends, we have been tuning in on YouTube to discuss the late soap Passions. And if you recall, last weekend we had our very first Passions celebrity guest appearance, Don Swaby, who played Chad #1. Well, surprise everyone, this weekend we already have our second celebrity guest appearance. You all might remember him as the demon elf that Kay Bennett accidentally summoned with little magic, and he made several returns to the show, pestering Tabitha and Endora. Well, here he is, folks. I can't believe we got him. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Danny Woodburn. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, so man, where do we even start? I mean, we've been waiting for moments like these, and we always think we're going to have a celebrity.
Well, let me just tell you how I got to come to the show.
Yes, please.
There was an audition for it, and I looked at the material, and at the time, it wasn't something I was really very interested in because I don't know, the whole demon elf thing. I just didn't want to get into that whole stereotype, for little people, and. So I never went out on the audition. Then they hired David Steinberg, the late David Steinberg. And David, you may recall, he was one of the guardsmen in Willow. And he'd been working for some time in the industry, and he had come on board Passions. Now, when you do a soap opera, if you shoot a film, you might do anywhere from 6 to 8, maybe 9 pages in a day. You do a TV show, same thing. If you do a sitcom, you rehearse for 4 days and then you film on the last day. So in terms of memorizing a script, it's a little easier to go in and try to memorize, 6 to 8 pages in a day. Soap operas are different. Soap operas you shoot anywhere from 50 to 70 pages a day. You blow through like it's live television. So you're really moving at quite a pace. And you maybe get 2, maybe 3 chances to finish a scene. And then they move on to the next scene. So there's a lot of memorization involved when you're trying to learn a whole new scene, and you get these scripts every day. So you get 50 new pages every single day. And you've got to try to memorize that. So David, I think he hadn't experienced this before, and I myself hadn't experienced it. But David came in on the second day, and I will say he probably had a bit of a scare. He had a bit of a panic attack, and he never came in on the second day. He sat in the parking garage for the entirety of the afternoon. Nobody could reach him. So they needed to replace him urgently because he just, David, I think at the time was going through a lot of personal crises. And even though the show was going to be a good thing for him, I think at the time, he just wasn't able to handle it.
Yeah.
And so I got a call saying, please come and do this for us. And I had trepidation. I said, well, look, I don't really like how the character reads out now. I said, if I come and do it, I want to be able to have freedom to do some of the things that I like to do, to do voices, to do impressions, to do, character stuff. And you may recall from watching it, I did a Schwarzenegger impression, I did an Arnold impression, I did a Sammy Davis Jr. impression, I did a James Brown impression in a scene in front of the church. I had a James Brown wig, and I was doing, what? You going to church? Hey, I was doing stuff like that, throughout the show. So 26 episodes in, while we focused on the story, of course, I had the freedom to sort of play with this demon character throughout the time.
Yes.
And so that was really how I came to be a part of the show. And I ended up doing, I feel like the count is 26, but it might be 28 episodes. I'm not really certain. And
Yeah,
they come out day after day after day. I never even got to see them each one because I was filming something else at the time. So even though I taped them, I just never got around to watching them all. So I had seen bits and pieces of it over the years, but I never got to see all of the stuff, because it
yeah,
was, like I said, we do 50 pages a day, and once you get into the rhythm of a soap opera, you understand that. And if you watch a show, you'll see you watch a scene and then it goes away to another scene, then it comes back to the people in that scene, and they kind of repeat what they just did a little
mhm,
bit in the scene before. They kind of repeat the dialogue, but in a different way. So that became kind of an easier way to remember it because it's all almost the same scene, but just changed slightly and then advances slightly each time. So you
right.
sort of, as you watch a soap opera, you'll see the stories advance ever so slowly, but they keep you there because they're repeating what happened. So it's almost like a refresher.
Right.
Every time you see a new scene, you get a refresher of the previous scene that you were in.
Is that kind of brings me to one question that I knew I was going to have to ask you when I knew that you were going to appear with us is what you were just telling us about David Steinberg, I think you said his
Yeah,
name was.
David
Yes,
Steinberg.
about him. Yes, thank you. Um is that why? Because it was one thing that I really, really, really was, I always wondered about from the very moment that the demon elf came on. Is that why when Kay accidentally summons the demon elf for the very first time, it's a different actor, but then all of a sudden, you
Yeah, yes,
appeared
then
in
it's
the
me. Yeah.
refrigerator?
It's because David didn't continue, and so they brought me in very urgently.
That explains it. Okay, yeah, I was like,
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what they did. There was some sort of transformation. I don't know. Did I
yeah,
come out of the refrigerator? I can't remember what
I don't
happened.
remember exactly what happened, but I remember you being like, "Hey, how did I start getting like this?" And
Yeah,
you're like, "I guess I could get used to looking like this." And so at least
right, right.
they referred to the change of appearance, which is something they don't normally do with recasts. So
Right. Well, it's interesting too because over the years they'll recast actors after a period of time. If an actor moves on
yes,
to something else, a contract comes to an end, but they don't want the character to go away, then
absolutely.
they'll they'll change the actor. And then back in the early days of soaps, when they called them soaps because there was soap commercials between each spot, they played, detergent and soap commercials, which is why they call them soap operas. Um, they they would say, portraying so and so today will be so and so. And it's because this is a time when live television was the thing for soap operas. They, in this throughout the 60s and even the 70s, they played these things live out to audiences on broadcast.
Sure. I mean, Passions was my very first soap opera. I mean, that's what got me into that. I mean, wasn't it the same for you, Casey?
Yeah, but I used to watch other soaps with my mom too. But Passions was my favorite, most favorite ones.
Yeah, and it's like I told Don Swaby and I tell everybody else and everything. I mean, I for how much I consider myself like this huge fan, and even though the show has been off the air for years, it's still my favorite show. Truth of the matter is, I didn't start until very, very, very late.
Yeah.
I didn't come in. I mean, it was even before the Demon Elf came in. I started, but it was it was before it's moved to direct TV. I think it might have been, if I was to take a guess, it might have been maybe like season 6. I'd want to take a guess. I really can't
I
remember.
think I might have been in the second to last season, maybe.
Well, I know
Uh,
there were 8 seasons altogether. I think I came in at season 6. I mean, because the character of Fox was still on the show. The episode that I came on was Kay was trying to choose between Fox and Miguel to marry, and she chose Fox because he was pulling that fake illness storyline and all that. That's how I got started, and I watched every episode going forward. So,
yeah,
yeah,
it
but
was sort of fantastical. There weren't really any soaps like that
oh,
prior,
yeah.
right? So it was the idea was that Tabitha
Yeah.
was a bewitched daughter all grown up, right? I mean, that was hinted at in a sense,
Yes.
right? And for me, it was interesting because, here I am. This is 2004. Yeah, because I actually I'd come in the morning. I lived 5 minutes from that studio, CBS Radford. I could have walked to work. but I would get up at 6:45 and be at work at 7 a.m. And then I would work until sometimes 1, maybe 2 o'clock. And then I drove 45 minutes to, well, an hour and 15 minutes out to a place called Lancaster, California, out in Lancaster. And I was in a movie there, a vampire movie um, called Lifeblood. So I was
Mm.
filming two things at the same time. So I would work on the soap opera in the morning and then drive out and work on Lifeblood until about midnight, drive home, and then get up the next day and do the same thing.
So just keeping yourself busy,
Wow.
huh?
It was a very busy time. That was for about a week, and then the soap stopped for a while. I finished the vampire movie, and then I went back to the soap.
Yeah,
So,
you did kind of have a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit. The
yeah,
character went away for a short time, and then once it made its move to direct TV, some midway through that, boom, the character was
right. I came back again. Yeah, and so Juliet Mills for me was, a big part of my childhood. When I was very young, I watched Nanny and the Professor, which was a show that she had done back in the 60s. Uh,
Mhm.
so I knew who she was, and she was like classic old school Hollywood,
That
um,
must have been great.
and quite a lovely lady. It was really a pleasure to work with her always. And I ran into her actually just, well, maybe it would have been about 2017, 2018. I bumped into her at a restaurant in New York just by chance. And
That's where I live.
Mm.
oh yeah, yeah,
That's where I am. Mhm.
yeah. I bumped into her at a place on 56th a few years back.
We so
And
badly want to get her
she
on.
remembered me, even though I was only there for, a couple months. She remembered me from the show. So
Sure.
that was great.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
just out of curiosity, before I go into the next thing I was going to say, are you just by any chance? I mean, you just said Juliet Mills, but are you friendly with any of the Passions co-stars?
I would periodically run into her name escapes me right now, as do many names.
Remember
Uh,
the character she
a
played?
young woman, pretty brunette. She was with the show forever. Then she went on to another soap. Uh,
Oh, Teresa,
Lindsay,
Lindsay Hartley,
Teresa, yeah,
Lindsay Holley.
yeah.
Yeah,
Lindsay
she's
Hartley.
my favorite.
Yeah, she's
You
a
want
lovely
her?
woman. I ran into her many times after the show, actually. And then I know she went on to do another soap. I don't remember what it was, but she
Well,
Days
she
of
went
Our
on. She
Life.
went on to Days of Our Lives for a
wow.
time until they killed her off. Then she was on All My Children, and then she became kind of this temporary fill-in every once in a while for the character of Sam on General Hospital. Whenever the
Oh,
original couldn't do it, she would come in temporarily, and then the original would come back. And now they've killed off that character entirely. So as
she
far as
keeps dying.
yeah, so as far as I know, she's just doing like Hallmark and Lifetime films. So
Yeah,
Yep.
now
she
it,
was very nice. And then I went on to do about 8 years ago. I was in Bold and the Beautiful for a run for a bit.
well, that's one I never did watch. Interesting. Okay. Um,
I
now,
played a tech guy, computer tech guy.
nice.
Do you know who Ron Moss is?
Ron Moss. Yeah, I can't place the name though.
He used to play Victor on Bold and the Beautiful, I think it was.
He plays who?
Victor,
Victor?
No,
yeah.
Ron Moss. No, I
Mm-hmm.
worked with the billionaire character. Uh, what was his name? Um, Ron. I don't know. He was kind of
It's
a good
tough.
guy, bad
Soaps are
guy.
hard to remember a lot
Kind of
of.
a good guy, bad guy. Yeah.
Um, since you said that you say that you grew up with Juliet Mills and everything. Well, I mean, I might have mentioned this a little bit in our emails. I mentioned this briefly, but you are somebody that I sort of grew up with. I've seen you in quite a bit. That's why it was actually kind of interesting when I found out that's the demon elf. I didn't recognize you in the beginning, but then once I obviously there's Wikipedia and there's IMDb and all that stuff, and I
Yeah.
started, I'm like, I've seen him in quite a bit. And just going back, I'm remembering Jingle All the Way,
Sure.
Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas, and then after Passions, it seemed like your acting gig careers got even bigger because then I saw you in Mirror Mirror, and which I loved that. Oh my god, I love that one. And then um out of all the things that I've seen you do, probably the most recent one, even though it was a long time ago, but still the most recent one, because I told my best male friend that I have that I was getting you on the podcast, and he's like, "Oh my god, you got to show me that when you get it filmed. You got to show me this because what he would know you from, I mean, outside of Jingle All the Way, the thing that he would know you from, and myself, iCarly. That's what I.
Ah, yeah,
Really.
I'm running into people now in their 20s that tell me that 20s
Yeah,
and even
it,
early 30s, they're like, "Oh, I grew up with you," and I'm like, "Oh,
yeah. Thanks to you.
a long time ago." iCarly was probably 2008, I'm guessing, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I just again, it's like now I recognize you big time because of Passions. Before Passions, I didn't recognize you as those other characters that I had seen you at, but
Yeah.
since Passions, I'm like, oh my god,
Were
it's I
you guys Sweet Life of Zack and Cody fans? When you watch that show?
no that
No.
one
Yep,
I
I
never.
did.
Yeah. Do you remember the alien characters, Blip and Blop?
I think so.
Two aliens that came from space. They were brothers. They came onto the ship.
Mm,
I
Yeah.
started I started
interesting.
thinking to myself, I started thinking to myself, the more I saw you in, I started thinking he's becoming one of the more famous, the little people and stuff. Forgive me if I said the right word. I don't want to offend you. I don't know what's the
No,
proper
it's not
term
a
to
Little
use.
problem.
I mean,
people.
again, it's part of my disability. I don't know what's the proper term to use. So I don't know if that's the appropriate term to use.
Fine. It's fine.
Thank you, thank you. But I was like, I mean, I know there's people like Warwick Davis and stuff like
Mm.
that. He's pretty big and stuff like that. And I mean, back in the day, he's no longer with us now, but back in the day, there was Billy Barty and stuff like that, and obviously Josh Ryan Evans, may he rest in peace and stuff like that. But the more
Oh
I
my
saw you, I
God.
started thinking he's becoming like whenever you need um a person of that size, call Danny Woodburn. He'll do it. And so um yeah,
Mm,
so I was like, I'm probably gonna see him in a lot of stuff. I'm surprised he wasn't like, I don't know. But yeah, so you're one of those actors that I did grow up on, just didn't recognize until
Yeah.
after Passions. Um what what one question that I think, and I know Casey, you're gonna want to ask a question or two, and I do tend to ramble, I do apologize. But I would want to know one thing is I mean, this is obviously a question that is more likely to go towards Juliet Mills and
Right.
Heidi Murray, but just um, just out of curiosity for your sake and everything, because again, you seemed like you were really having a ball playing that character. Like you said, you really added your own stuff to it. What I want to know is what was it like doing with the magic and all that stuff, with all the magic that you got to zap zap and all that stuff. I mean,
Yeah, it's much more effective to see it afterwards. It's
I
when you're doing it, it's kind of silly in some regards, but it's just about you do the bit and then there's like a cutaway or whatever, and then whatever happens happens, or they
Mhm.
pose something, however they work that stuff out,
Yeah.
flashes and whatnot. I don't recall a lot of the magic aspects of it, other than maybe a few clothes transformations here and there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in
Or
the beginning.
casting spells that really affect a person's character more than they affect, the uh, the physical realm, right?
Right. Because it was, because yeah, you're right. Close transformation. You're right. Because in the beginning, when you first started, it was mostly red and black, but towards the end of it, it was all black and everything.
Yeah,
Towards the end
yeah,
of it, because he was done playing around. Now he's just evil. He's like, come to the dark side, Endora, or you can die, or something. And so,
yeah.
um, um, oh man, I'm just like I said, we're just so thrilled to have you here. I'm like,
yeah.
Casey, you got any questions for this guy? I mean, I gotta think. Um,
Um, which is your favorite part from the show?
My
What
favorite,
scene? Yeah.
what's was my favorite from the show? Gosh, it was, we're talking 20 years ago now. The one that comes to mind is my character's inability to enter a church. He wants to go in the church, and he wants something that's inside the church, but because of his evil, can't go in the church. And so I had asked the makeup and hair department, build me a James Brown wig, and then I had asked them to build me like a James Brown jumpsuit, and then just being outside and go, "What? Hey, going to church?" Hey, like doing the whole James Brown thing, but in a comedic way. That was kind of a fun moment for me in the show. I enjoyed that. Um, it's always interesting too when we're indoors, outdoors, So when you're on a soundstage and they've created like a little forest.
Right, I remember those
So I
moments.
remember working in the forest for quite a bit with the young girl character whose name escapes me now. Who was that? She's the granddaughter of Tabitha, I think.
Um,
Who's the
yeah,
young?
those characters.
Tabitha,
What's that?
Tabitha's daughter. Do you mean Tabitha's daughter
Are you
in
Oh,
talking about
door?
the young.
Endora, or are you talking about
Wait, Endora's the younger one.
and well, Endora was like the 3-year-old who grew up and fought you. So
Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah, she was sometimes she was mostly a little girl, but there were a few times where they had her at an
Right, right. I think I only was connected to her when she was not a little girl, when she was
that
eight.
you actually got to interact with somebody who actually spoke compared to just having a talk bubble. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Um,
Barbara, yeah.
Yeah. Because I would every single time, I swear, every time that especially come the direct TV season, not to me, I don't think so much during your first time, because like we just mentioned, you were there for a time and then you went away and then you came back. Not so much the first time around, but I just it was mostly when the show moved to direct TV and you made your return and stuff like that. It was around there I was like, that was when I was really starting to think, oh no, things are going to go downhill now and everything. Because before you know
Well,
it,
because I guess the budget probably got thinner then too, I guess, is my
yeah,
guess.
it really actually, like, I mean, especially once, I don't even know if you would remember, or I know that actress Mackenzie Westmore, I message her during live TikToks every once in a while. I know that she mentioned that she was aware of, I don't know if you were aware of at the time, but when the show, I don't know if you were on the set or whatever when it was announced, the show is being canceled. We're wrapping up our final episodes. I don't know if you were
I was in that final season, and I was in there during the DirecTV stuff, and I think I was in probably closer to some of the final episodes. I
yeah.
don't know
Because I
exactly.
just didn't know if, I didn't know if, if they like Endora defeated you and then they announced that they were canceling the show, or if you were still on when
No,
the
I
show.
I I remember the change to DirecTV, but I knew the end was in sight after that.
Yeah, because yeah, and it was especially, I kept on thinking to myself, I can't even remember when I heard that Passions was definitely ending, and that was a real
So
hurt.
can you still catch it? Can you still watch it? Can you still?
They have
On
about they have
YouTube.
about they have about 98 to 97, 98% of every single episode on YouTube, but
On YouTube.
it's not the best quality, and that's what me and Casey are actually doing. Actually, she watched from the very beginning. As I said, I came in late. However, she was never able to see it when it was on Direct TV. So her
Yeah.
and I are watching the Direct TV.
So
Yeah.
I was I was probably about 12, going on 13. I was a fifth grader then. The summer of 1999. My sister was watching it. I was like, "What are you watching?" She like, it's a show called Passions. So I'm like, okay, I didn't like it at first, but when the second day when it came on, I started liking it.
Yeah, and like I said, I was just skimming through channels when I came upon it, just looking for something good to watch. And I'm a huge romance nerd and everything, so anything that's got romance in it, you can count me in. And Passions was my first soap. Um,
Me too.
uh, do you have a favorite role of your career that you've played?
Well, there's like I feel like everything has its own unique quality. I've had some terrific experiences that I count in the top, Uh, working with Robin Williams, for example, on a movie called Death to Smoochie. Uh, that
May
came,
him rest in peace.
yes, that came out in 2002, and I got to work directly with him. I worked with Ed Norton and Catherine Keener, and Danny DeVito was the director. So that whole experience for me was one of the top experiences. The thing about doing different shows like this, uh, like an hour-long show will take traditionally, a union hour-long show before the era of streaming, back in the era of just network television. Um, it would be 8-day shoot. So you work
Mm.
for eight days on an hour-long show. A sitcom would be a 5-day work week where you'd work 5 days. You do 4 days of rehearsal, 1 day of shooting, maybe a day and a half of shooting at the most. And the shooting usually is at night in front of a live audience, right? So on a sitcom, where they have four cameras, the traditional sitcom like Everybody Loves Raymond or
Oh, I
Seinfeld,
love that show.
right? So any of these kinds of shows was four cameras and in front of a studio audience. So that would be a 5-day shoot. But now in the era of streaming, you might do an 8 episode series and it would be broken up. You might do episode one the first week, episode two, and then episode one, and then episode three, and then back to episode two. So you get jumped around throughout a period of time. Like it be a long schedule of shooting, which is what I just came off of. I came off of a show called The Witcher. Um, that'll be on Netflix. I see your cat behind you.
Yeah, my cat.
Well,
It's
that's your
my
tail
cat.
coming up. I don't know if it's your cat's tail or your tail coming up. Uh, so I worked on The Witcher for the last 2 seasons. Beautiful. And
Yeah,
that's one of these shows. It's maybe do 8 episodes in a season, but it's all chopped up. So you might work like on a movie for like 6 months, 5, 6 months,
Mhm.
on the same show, but it's 8 different episodes. So it's a different era of making film and television. And as I said, passions, soap operas were you shoot one episode a day, maybe an episode and a half a day. So you'd get at least 5 to 7 episodes in the week finished. And that was just the way it was done so many years ago. And so now they sort of maintain that style of creating a soap opera. So it's always interesting to me to learn new methods of creating film and television. And Passions being my very first soap opera, I got to see how that was done for the first time, firsthand. To see that schedule, to
What a great way
understand
for it.
what the work week was like, and then also, as an actor, you got to figure out ways in which to uh, work in that environment. Because if you have 50 pages of script and you're in, 20 of those pages are yours, where you're speaking with other characters, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to make sure you get those lines down. And the thing about directing a soap opera is a lot of times writers and the directors and the producers will watch a scene play out. They'll shoot it. They'll shoot it again, and then they'll make a decision. Did we get it? Did it make
mm,
sense? Did we tell the story? Even if the lines aren't perfect, did we tell the story? Did we get the direction of the plot correct? Did we get it all done right? The lines don't necessarily have to be perfect. So that's what I learned too. We do 2 or 3 takes and then go, okay, moving on to the next one. You know, it's like
Nice.
we got close. We got close and we can move on.
It's
And
kind of
that's
like what
style.
it's kind of like what it's like what it's kind of like what Eric Martzoff, who played Ethan, it's kind of like what he had actually said or whatever, because he does both um
Yeah, I worked with
screen.
Eric. I remember Eric now. Now that you
Yeah.
brought him up.
Yeah, now he's currently on Days of Our Lives. He mentioned because he does both stage and screen. He For the same reason as I do, because I mean, I'm an actor too. Casey, you're trying to become an actress and everything. I've done it since I was 11 years old, but I've never done anything on screen, but I've done a lot of stage stuff. Everything has been stage for me.
Yeah.
But but it's kind of like what he said and everything. He said that he likes live theater the same reason that I do. He said that it's scarier. You get one shot when you're on stage. Whatever you throw out there to the audience, that's what it is. Whereas when you're on screen, if you do something wrong, you just go back and do another take. And so, just like you're
Yeah.
saying and everything, even if it's not perfect, we just did you tell the story. And so,
Right.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
there's a lot to be said about doing too many takes too, because if my very first job was a beer commercial, if you can believe that, and I had to do a reveal from under my hat of a can of beer facing the right
Mm.
direction. So take off the hat, the beer is on my head. That's how I remember it. And here's what I also remember. It took 36 takes to get that shot right.
Dang, just that one shot.
Wow.
That was my very first job, and you can imagine my feeling of, okay, this is bad. 36
Mm.
takes, 36. I hope we got it this time. After about 20, you start to get nervous. So while you can go back and do it again, you certainly don't want to be doing it 10, 15, 20, 30, or 36 times.
And
Mm.
sometimes they'll get pushy like that, you know. Um, you you told me in your emails, and it says on your Wikipedia, this is something um I mean, me and Casey both, I think we're both very happy to bring this up. You are a supporter of people with disabilities, like you told me in emails and
Yeah,
everything.
I what I do is uh, part of the work I do is I train the studios in understanding the employment of people with disabilities in our field, right? So actors, craftspeople, directors, people in front of them, behind the scenes, behind the camera. Um, we do trainings on language. We do trainings on uh, attitude. We do trainings on best practices. So we've spoken to Amazon, Sony, NBC, Paramount, CBS. We've spoken to all these, my partner and I have spoken to all these different studios over the last 5, 6 years. And you can go to leadonada.org and you can see a bunch of the shows we produced over the pandemic that incorporated an entire crew and craftspeople and performers, all with some form of disability. And in the course of during the pandemic, we employed more than 150 people with disabilities, gave them payment for the work that they did for our shows. So you can go to adaleadon.org and you can see the episodes that we put together during the pandemic.
Wow. Dang, Casey, that sounds like
That's
something
awesome.
too. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, we both have
we
disabilities, right, Casey?
yeah, I have cerebral palsy. Well, I was born with cerebral palsy, and the doctors told my mom I won't never have a normal life. I won't be able to walk. I won't be able to talk. I'll be in the wheelchair all my life. Look at me. I'm walking, talking, focusing, and doing all the things a normal human being can do.
You're even
That's
living on your own, aren't you?
that's the thing
Yep.
about doctors, they never get it right in the beginning. Uh,
Yeah,
Nope.
I
and as
was I was born in 1964, so you can imagine what the doctors would have said to my mother.
I
Um, uh, they basically said that I would need to be institutionalized for the entirety of my life. So
You are ill younger than my mom is.
I'm a
But
little
my mom, she passed away 10 years ago from breast cancer.
sorry, and
That's okay.
she
I'm
was
just
a
taking,
little older than me, I guess. Yeah.
you know,
All right.
50, she was 52 when she passed away.
Mm, okay.
and
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, but I mean me, I mean I was diagnosed with autism, Asperger's, in middle school. I can't remember exactly the year or how old
Right.
I was back then, but um I I don't want to come off as like the whole woe is me act or whatever, anything like that. But the majority of my life, ever since I was diagnosed, it's pretty much done nothing but basically just affect me. Pretty much everybody that I meet, everything that I go up for, the very minute that they find out that I'm autistic, I'm kind of shunned. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm an actor. I've been doing it since I was 11. More of a singer than I am an actor, to be
Mm,
honest. Singing is my best friend. If I don't have my singing voice, I'm nothing. But
yeah.
I like I said, I've been acting since I was 11, singing my whole life, but I didn't start doing it in like the real stuff until my teens or something. But but it just seems like here I am trying my very hardest to especially, I mean, I'll tell you this is something I bet you never went through or whatever. When I kind of took the as I tell my voice teacher, I have a professional voice teacher for my singing. As I told her, I kind of took the easy cheating way to get into theater because when I very first started, the very first play that I ever did, and all my life, I grew up in Illinois. That's where I grew up. Now I live in New York. I every show that I ever did in Illinois, starting from the first, and I can't tell you how many I did there. There was just so many. All I really did was, yes, you had to audition, but all you had to basically do was pay a fee and you were automatically accepted into the show. But you still had to audition for a specific role. But once you paid the fee, you're in, plain and simple. And so I consider that as the easy cheating way because I don't think that very many actors are that able to get in that easily, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like a bribe.
Yeah. But then once I got to New York, I started realizing there aren't very many theaters like that where you just pay a fee. I had to really start getting into the real world of auditioning.
Right, right.
And so I got out here to New York. I was married at the time. Now I'm divorced. But I came out here in 2015, and I remember I started auditioning, didn't make it into any shows. I got one show in 2017. I did one Christmas musical. It was probably like one of the most painful experiences of my life. I did not enjoy doing that show. I didn't like the way that the director treated me and all that stuff. And they didn't even get it. I am a disabled young man. I am going to have a lot of harder time than everybody else. And then after that, they refused to cast me in anything in that theater after that. But ever since then, you got to remember that was 2017. Since then, I haven't been.
Yeah, things have changed. I will say things have changed. I think 2016 was kind of the start of the transformation. But there's opportunities out there to look into. There's the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. You guys might take a look at that. And there's showcases at CBS, the CBS Diversity Showcase. So there's things out there that you can look into for performers with disability. So I would advise to just, start doing some searches, use a little chat GPT and then just before I jump off, I just wanted to give you each a quick glimpse of this October 30th. There's a little snapshot from the set of The Witcher.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
That is me.
Wow.
I'm a bit bearded in this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say they really put a lot of hair on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of a warrior character
Mhm.
uh, who travels with the main
Can you
man.
can you send the websites again to the and the link about the
ADA lead on. Yeah,
disability? Yeah.
sure. And then the
Okay.
Disability Film Challenge, I'll send you some information on that as well.
Yeah, you can if you want to, you can email it to me and I'll
Sure.
give it to her. I mean, I
Absolutely.
know you have my email. I mean, you don't have her, so yeah, you can email it to me. Yeah, if you got to jump off and everything, yeah, hopefully. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna get on you now. I don't want to be a harasser, but hopefully, maybe sometime in the future we can get you again and everything. It's like I told Don. I mean, we're willing to take the same people more than once if it more questions for cast members.
Look, we got a lot of cast members to go through.
I
So
know when it's so hard to like get them. If you don't, I don't know how to reach
yeah.
out to them. I can't give them phone
But
calls to say, "Hey,
I think Teresa is on Instagram, so I think you could probably track her.
messaged her. She hasn't answered." The only
I
people.
messaged even.
I'll just say this really quickly before you go. The only people that have actually answered me, like I said, Mackenzie Westmore, who played Sheridan. I talked to her on TikTok. Dylan Fergus, who played Noah. You might remember him. You did a lot of hell on him in Paloma and everything. Yeah. Yep. Dylan Fergus, he messages me on Instagram a good number of times. He even gave me his email for me to reach out to him there. Silvana Arias, who was the original Paloma, she wanted to be on the show, but she just recently said, I want to, but my job says I can't. Apparently, I work for a company that says I can't do it. And I was like, dang, I really wanted to meet her.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah. So there's a few people that I got.
yeah, I mean, keep at it. Obviously, you're just starting out, and I wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you. And we will
going
hear
forward.
from you again. God bless you, man. Thank you so much for appearing. And we hope we get you again some point. We'll keep in touch.
All right, take care,
God
Casey.
bless.
See
Thank you.
you later.
Bye.
Have a good day.
You too.
Whoa, people! There was our second guest appearance, everybody. Man, and what did we get from that? He's really
Yeah,
somebody that we, benefited, answers, information, whatever we needed more. I mean, more, yeah, I can't wait to show that to other people.
right.
Yeah, so now people like he said, we just got to keep on trying. We hopefully will get more people and stuff like that. I mean, I have been in touch with Dylan Fergus, and I mean, we obviously
I
was that Casey?
I think I emailed Lindsay Hopefully on TikTok. I
Oh, on
think
TikTok.
TikTok
I
or
didn't know she had a
Instagram.
TikTok. You might have been Instagram because I know she's got
Instagram,
Instagram.
yeah.
I didn't know she had a TikTok. Um, I mean, I've messaged everybody possible that I can find on Instagram. Um, excuse me. I've been told that James Hyde, who plays Sam, that he is really up for these kinds of things and everything, but he hasn't answered me. So
Hmm.
and like I
Maybe
mentioned, and like I mean, Philip Jean Marie or Jean Marie, how you pronounce his last name, I'll have to ask him the night whenever, if or whenever we meet again. Um, when I talked to him on the phone, like what last year, whenever it was, when I spoke to him on the phone, he said, "Keep in touch with me on Instagram. I'll message you there." He hasn't answered me. So I
mm,
would love to get him
that's
on here. I
weird.
would love to actually hear if he still has that blackmailer voice and all that stuff. I'd love to see if he's still got it in him and all that stuff. And so God bless to Danny Woodburn for that advice. Man, that was I oh man, I'm feeling so good right now. I can't believe we just got two guest appearances in 2 weekends. Last weekend, now this weekend. Just
I
imagine
have,
just imagine if I end up hearing from Dylan Fergus, maybe next weekend we'll get him if I hear from him.
yeah,
um, but with the last 17 minutes that we have left, um, we'll just say or whatever, like I said to him, I've been getting Casey caught up, and we have made it all the way through December 2007. The next time we get together, her and I, we will start watching January 2nd of
uh,
2008. People, yeah, and Dora and Miguel are back. Um,
yeah,
and I mean,
yeah.
Marty's
Miguel's
back.
going crazy. Yeah, Miguel's going cray because, and then he blacked out for a little while, and then he didn't remember who Tabitha okay was. Do I know you?
Yep, everybody, this is my
And
favorite Miguel. I know you all don't like him, but he became my favorite character when he took over the role. I just loved his
he's
portrayal.
okay. I like him.
I know most people prefer to go for Adrian or Jesse and everything, but there was just something about Blair that just, he even became my second favorite actor after playing the part. I wanted to see him in almost everything I can find. And he's done a number of things. Switched at Birth, The Lying Game. He was in the movie Burlesque. He was in the film. Oh wait, oh no, I'm thinking of somebody else for that movie. I was about to say I thought he was in School of Rock, but I'm thinking of actor Adam Pascal. Never mind, different actor. But no, he was in Burlesque. He did this before Passions. He did this show called this movie, which is basically a parody of Night of the Living Dead, called Dance of the Dead. He played an electric guitar player. Though he
Mhm.
was dubbed, though when it came to singing, he doesn't sing apparently, so he was dubbed. And he's played roles like that. He 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 did a he did a TV show called Beauty and the Beast. I don't know if it has
Yeah.
anything to do with the original Beauty and the Beast. I never watched it. He was also in, I would have to ask a friend of mine, but I believe he was in an X-Men show, I believe, that was on TV. I didn't watch it, but I
Mhm.
believe he was in something like that. He was up before Passions. He was on Young and the Restless for a time. I think that's what most people might remember him. If people took a look at him, if they were to know him at all, they may remember him from Young and the Restless. He was in the spinoff of 90210. Yep, and he yeah, he's done a fair number. He played I went and saw this movie just to see him, and then you can't even see him. You can't even see him at all. But he was in I think it was a remake. I think it was. If it was, I've never seen the original, The Day the Earth Stood Still, but you can't see him at all. And I went to see it just to see him, and I didn't care for the movie at all, but I knew he was in it, but I didn't see him at all. So Blair Redford has definitely been around. I mean, probably aside from Passions, I think The Lion Game might be probably my favorite of his. It's just a real shame that it only went for 2 seasons and it ended on a cliffhanger with like so many questions not answered. So, but yep. So now he's Miguel, everybody, and I know you all don't like him, but there's a lot of times, Casey, that if you look at pictures that people have made of like Passions and stuff like that from back in the day, there might be a picture. I might even have one on my phone. I could probably show you. It'll be like of all three Miguels, Jesse, Adrian, Blair, and it will have like written underneath each one. It'll be like under Jesse, hot, underneath Adrian, hotter, Blair, what? That's what they'll be like and everything. Just people just did not like him and stuff like that. And so, but
I don't know why.
well, I think it might be just because, I mean,
It's
I
just
could be
about
wrong, but I really think that it had, number one, it had to do with looks because Miguel is supposed to be Mexican. And whether I don't know if Adrian Bellani, I know he doesn't go by that name anymore, but I don't know if he actually was Mexican, but he definitely spoke fluent Spanish. And I don't know what Jesse was, but I guess he looked it enough. Whereas Blair is just totally white and everything, and just I guess people just are like, he doesn't look a thing Mexican or whatever. That's number one. And the one that I can bet you almost anything also has to do with is because again they're looking for sexiness and everything. They look for attractiveness. Jesse was very, very handsome. Adrian had the holy crap body, take that shirt off. Whereas Blair is, well, he's got none of that and everything. And I just feel he doesn't need that. That's what I always liked about his portrayal. It's like his father told me on Facebook. His father, before he passed away, Blair Redford's father, I had a communication with him on Facebook before he died. He actually told me that when Blair plays a character, he likes to make the character his own. That's very, very important to him. He really likes to make a
the
character
way
his
it
own.
should be. Yep.
Exactly. Instead of and make the character fresh instead of copying somebody else. So he didn't copy Adrian prior to him and all that. And I just feel Miguel he showed that he didn't need to be. I mean, I think he's a good looking guy and everything, but he didn't need to be sexy and he didn't need to be all buff and everything the way that Adrian
Yeah.
was. And he can still get beautiful K, even if he doesn't have all that and everything. That's the thing that you're gonna notice when you and I continue watching, Casey, is you're gonna notice that he plays Miguel very, 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 very serious and everything. He's a very serious kind of a character now. He's not the not all romantic, and he's not all I don't really know what the word is or whatever of how Adrian played it. I mean, Adrian just, I can't really think of the word that how he portrayed Miguel or whatever. Jesse was just totally a romantic and everything. I can't think of what the word for Adrian, but Blair was neither one. He's just very, very serious. And I'm not going to give it away because I don't want to spoil it for you, but that is actually, I love his seriousness. That I love. But there's coming up, I think it might be the next episode. It might be the next episode. Because now that we're in the new year and everything, I think that's when this starts happening. And it's got nothing to do with him. It's not his fault. It's got everything to do with the writing. It's just very, very bad writing. A friend of mine even agrees. a friend of mine even agrees that this is just very, very, very bad writing. It's the only thing that I did not like about Blair's portrayal that is actually coming up and everything. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but when you hear it, it's just not very good writing. I'm just like thinking to myself, seriously, if I were him, I would not be thinking like this. I really wouldn't. I would be thinking this is kick ass. This is cool. Yeah, let's do it or whatever. But that's not how they write the character. And before you know it, it becomes a big part of his character. It becomes a whole storyline thing, and it because of how he's written, it becomes a big thing depending on whether or not Kay is going to lose Miguel or not. So and like I said, not his fault, but I just I just don't think I just don't like that writing. So, but yeah, he's back, and cute little Endora's back and everything, and it's great to see her cute little talk bubble and all that. And
And
um,
then if
mhm,
in that letter that they send to Tabitha saying if
mhm,
Tabitha doesn't continue on doing bad,
they'll
then
take
she will
Endora
lose.
back.
Yep, they will take her away from her again.
I'm wishing if we I really wish if we knew if any cast members know what's become of Nicole Cox. I mean, we know that she's grown up now. She's not that little girl anymore. But like I said, just the Passions reunion that was in California that's on YouTube. You can see it on YouTube and everything. A lot of the cast members got together and they all watched the very first episode on a big screen with an audience. And I think they answered questions and they did some in the microphones and all that stuff. Nicole Cox did appear, and she wasn't there for very long, but she did appear. That's the last I've seen of her, and I'm wishing that we could find somebody who might still know where she is and what she's up to. And so, I mean, she doesn't
But
have a
she,
Wikipedia, so
well, maybe she's a private person, maybe,
it's hard to say. I mean,
yeah,
nobody really knows where Emily Harper is, but even she's got a Wikipedia. So there's not very much on it aside from Passions, but she still has a Wikipedia. So, like I said, I agree with you. I wish we could get in touch with Juliet Mills, but I just get a very, very, very big feeling she's not a social media person. I just get a very
you
big
know, just
she.
think about it. She's like in her 80s, maybe
Mhm.
70 or 80s. She's
That's gonna be
probably she's probably old fashioned, maybe
exactly.
yeah,
That's gonna be a real heartbreaker when we find out that she passes away. I mean, that's gonna, oh my God, or not Tabitha. They might as well forget about ever bringing a Passions reboot if they don't have Tabitha Lennox, and they can't recast her. No way.
mm,
And like I said, I can't call her. The last time I spoke to her, she pretended to not be her.
it was
She pretended to be a secretary and everything. I can't just call her up and say, "Would you like to do my Passions podcast?" And so, um, but just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was hoping that I could actually get an answer or whatever, but unfortunately they were just too busy talking. Just on Instagram, just yesterday, James Hyde and Galen Gehring, they were doing a little live chat on Instagram and everything, and they were just
mm,
talking and talking and talking and talking about various different things, talking about sports and monkeys and all these different things. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, but they're talking about various different things. And people are just messaging on there, but they're not answering. They're not even reading the messages. And all I kept on wanting to ask, would you guys be willing to appear on my podcast? But they weren't answering anything. So I unfortunately couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't get them. So um yeah, you and I, we can try Lindsay Hartley again, like Danny Woodburn said. He believes that she's, like that or whatever. But I yeah, I just and a large part of me is wanting to like call her up again and actually see if she'd you know um but I just, because again, I got her one time, but she was in a hurry to get inside and have dinner or something like that with her family, and she couldn't really talk for very long or whatever. And a part of me is wanting to try her again, but it was actually kind of funny, really, because when I said to her, "Would you mind if I called you back at a time you're more free?" and she goes, "Can I think about it?" And I'm like thinking, how am I supposed to know if it's okay if she's thinking about it? And like I said, even though I mean to get a hold of Heidi, I've tried calling her phone. I told you already. There's something up with her phone. It's like every time this number is currently not taking calls. And I'm like thinking, what is the point of having a phone if you can set it up where it doesn't take calls? I mean, that's what a
Right.
phone's for. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
She blocked you from Instagram, did she, at
Heidi
one
did.
point?
So did Mackenzie, and I don't know why, but um man, I can't get over that we just had him just now. That was just too cool, don't you think?
Yep, it went great. Yep,
I
I
mean,
really
Don,
like
Don,
him.
Don really, really, really loved to talk, whereas Danny was more of a quiet person, and he actually heard us out. Both of them. I
Yep.
mean, again, hopefully we'll get them both again. I'll try them again at some point in the future when I realize that we're not really getting anywhere. I'll see if we can get repeats on people, get them again and such. Like I said, I'm gonna try again on Dylan Fergus. I'll send him another email and see if he answers. I've
That'd be
emailed.
awesome
Hmm?
if we both have Eric and Lindsay on sometime. Like
That would
both
really
of
be
them
something.
together.
And I've
I
emailed
think it
all of
would
them.
be.
I've emailed Eric and Lindsay. It's just some of the emails that I have either don't work. Let's say the email can't be sent, or I'll get a mail delivery error, or I just don't get any responses. Danny is the only one that actually responded to my email. I
And
was really
Dawn
shocked when
also.
he
Yep.
answered. I can't wait to show this today's episode to my friend John. Again, he was really excited when he found out I was going to get him from iCarly.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some stuff going on and everything. I mean, now our podcast is actually starting to get somewhere, Casey. We're getting somewhere now. I mean, I can't necessarily say if we're picking up strong or whatever, but I don't know if
I
you
mean,
want to, I don't know if you yourself would want to check out our views and see. I'm always afraid to check our views because I said this before. It's like I told my roommate, I told her, I said, you can't see who exactly viewed your videos. And because you can't see who viewed, you don't know, are all of those viewings you? For all you know, you could be the one viewing and it's just adding more views and it could all just be you for all
mm,
you know. So
mm.
I don't, maybe if you take a look or something, maybe you'll see that more people have checked us out or something. I don't know. I'm just too afraid to see for myself. So, um, and now with us on the show, now we finally are introduced to Vicky and everything. Vicky Esme's little niece is on there. She's currently a mute right now, only whispering into Esme's ear and everything. And um, seems like kind of an outcaster a little bit. I mean, she's now living with her aunt Esme and everything. We'll have to see where her character goes. And like I said, still can't believe that it's just again, just like knowing Danny Woodburn, just knowing her from Lizzie McGuire as that, young teenager who wanted to copy Lizzie.
Yep. Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember that episode.
I
Mm.
love Lizzie McGuire.
Yep, I used to watch her
If,
back
if
in
you
the
get
day.
Disney Plus, it's on there. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, me and Casey, people, we're starting to actually get places, and Passions is really coming smoothly. Harmony is building up for us, and hopefully we'll get more people. Let's all just keep on praying for us. Tell us ways that that these actors might respond. We're willing to take your words and give it a try. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's coming along smoothly. I'm actually very, very happy with the way things are going. And oh, and you know what, guys? What a perfect timing or whatever. We're out of time for this weekend's show. That's it. We're done. Sad, isn't it? You know, but hey, listen, everyone, listen. Passion Supernatural podcast airs every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, only on YouTube. If you want to be a guest sometime, because you're a fan like we are, please like and subscribe, and leave your name and a social media you use, and one of us will at some point reach out to you. Just leave it in the comment section below. And wasn't that just awesome, you guys? We had our second celebrity guest today. Man, just too cool, going from Don to Danny. And we'll have to see who's next. But please, we're begging you, join us next weekend, same time, Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, only on YouTube. Harmony is still around when we're here, people, and it's waiting for you. I'm Joe Velasquez.
And I'm Casey Metcalf.
And everyone, just remember, you are our passion for life. Thank you. Guys, have a good one. Thank you, everyone. I hope to see you next weekend. God bless.